Audi has decided to bring it up and offer another luxury electric SUV. But this time, things are a little bit different because this is the next generation SUV. In the way, it's the first model with 4 rings based on a new platform developed with Porsche. New technologies, new charging capabilities, and, of course, excellent performance are enough reasons to stay with us and take a little bit closer look at this SUV, which was launched just a few weeks ago. The 2024 Audi Q6 e-tron is another EV in the company's lineup. After the Q4 e-tron and Q8 e-tron, it was time to introduce something that is actually a sweet spot, something that seems most appealing to a majority of buyers. And of course, the new SUV looks nice, but we think we should start this video with something a little bit more important. That's the fact that this is the first Audi that rides on the new Premium Platform Electric, or simply PPE, architecture, which was co-developed with Porsche and which had its debut with the all-electric Porsche Macan. Indeed, the Q6 e-tron does have a lot of things in common, including pretty similar dimensions. But what's more important is technology. Things like 800-volt battery architecture, respectable fast DC charging, advanced driver assistance systems, and other things that come with this architecture, which we'll talk about later in this video. Before that, a few words about the exterior design. The 2024 Audi Q6 e-tron comes as the latest EV in Audi's EV. It joins all-electric SUVs like Q4 e-tron and Q8 e-tron, and, as the nameplate suggests, it's slotted between these two in terms of size. Indeed, the Q6 e-tron is a compact luxury crossover, though some of its dimensions put it pretty close to the mid-size segment, which also brings benefits we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. In any case, there's a pretty respectable 114.1-inch wheelbase, while the rest of the measurements go something like this: 187.8 inches in total length, 76.3 inches in width, and 64.9 inches in height. As for the aesthetics, it's easy to notice a lot of similarities with the smaller Q4 e-tron. The front face looks pretty similar, as it's based on the brand's newest EV design language. Narrow headlights come complemented by a massive and upright quasi-grille, as well as an attractive front bumper that involves a lot of sharp lines, massive air intakes, and other openings that emphasize the vehicle's aggressive design approach. As for the rest of the vehicle, things come in a typical Audi fashion, without too many experiments, with conventional lines and a pretty reserved rear-end layout. Speaking of the rear-end layout, things depend a lot on the version you choose because, just like with many other Audi SUVs, this one also comes either as a classic SUV or as a Sportback, which is a fancy name Audi uses for a sloping roofline that gives that coupe-like appearance. That model does look a little bit sportier, but also brings a few compromises in terms of cargo volume and overall practicality. As with most other Audi models, the Q6 e-tron doesn't bring any surprises, which is actually a pretty good thing in our opinion. What we particularly like is that there's no sign of a futuristic design approach, something that has become so common among EV makers. Most EV makers like to point out the EV nature of their models in the way that they offer futuristic cabin design with minimalist aesthetics and focus on tech features. Consequently, they all look alike, so Audi's conventional approach actually stands out, believe it or not. The Q6 e-tron features a rather conventional but contemporary cabin design as well. Everything looks pretty nice, and in a typical Audi fashion, the build quality is excellent. The selection of materials is also pretty impressive, even though some areas are wrapped with sustainable, eco-friendly materials. All in all, there's nothing to complain about quality-wise. Of course, the attractive layout is followed by a generous offer of tech features, but some think that, despite the conventional design approach, the new SUV can feel a little bit overwhelmed with massive screens, especially if you opt for the third one reserved for the passenger. In the standard setup, there are just 2 of them. Like most rivals, Audi practices that curved panel that integrates instrument cluster and infotainment screen, but we have to say it's integrated into the dashboard in such a nice fashion. The 11.9-inch unit serves as an instrument cluster, while the infotainment screen seems pretty huge with 14.5 inches diagonally. Still, that size can be quite beneficial when streaming video content, though that's possible only in the standstill position. What's more important is that, besides the respectable size of the screen, the infotainment system also comes with a new Android-based interface. And as with most modern infotainment systems, there's an obvious lack of physical control, but generally, the system is quite intuitive and easy to use. Among other tech features, it's worth mentioning that you can opt for things like a head-up display and navigation with augmented reality, as well as a premium Bang & Olufsen audio system. As we already mentioned, the all-new 2024 Audi Q6 e-tron is officially a compact crossover, but its 114.1-inch wheelbase makes it comparable with many mid-size counterparts. When we compare it with the gas-powered Q5, the difference is over 3 inches, so it doesn't surprise that the new electric crossover is notably more generous in terms of passenger room, particularly in the second row. Obviously, that primarily refers to the legroom, but the shoulder and headroom are also quite impressive, so the Q6 e-tron definitely accommodates 3 adults in the back with ease. At the front, things are as you'd expect them to be in a premium crossover. Plenty of passenger room and adjustability, comfortable and supportive seats, good driving position, etc. What's not so great is the cargo volume, which goes at around 18.5 cubic feet when we talk about the space behind the second row. Thankfully, the second row folds down and expands the cargo area to 54 cubes. That's much better, but still a little bit low when compared to similarly sized EVs. A bit of compensation comes at the front in the so-called frunk, which offers an additional 2.3 cubic feet of additional storage. Finally, a few words about performance. For now, the 2024 Audi Q6 e-tron comes in 2 variants, both with dual motors. The base one comes with a total output of 456 horsepower, which is plenty enough to move this crossover with ease. Moreover, performances are quite respectable, as 0 to 60 takes around 5 seconds. Then there's the famous S-badged model, the SQ6 e-tron in this case. Once again, we're talking about 2 electric motors, but things are tuned up a bit in this case, so the max output is 510 horsepower with the 0 to 60 in just 4.3 seconds at a top speed of 143 miles per hour. Besides strong acceleration, the Q6 e-tron also offers pretty impressive ride quality. In the standard setup, everything feels composed with a good balance between comfort and athleticism. However, keep in mind that air suspension is also available, which takes comfort to the next level. In the case of the SQ6, the suspension gets notable tuning in order to improve the vehicle's behavior in corners. It's a great choice for more enthusiastic drivers, but keep in mind that this also means a bit of compromise in terms of comfort. We already mentioned that the Q6 e-tron is the first Audi to ride on the new PPE platform, co-developed with Porsche, and the benefits come in various aspects, especially when it comes to charging performance. But first, a word about the battery, which is good for about 94.4 kilowatt hours no matter the version you pick. That's a pretty solid package, so it doesn't surprise that the WLTP suggests nearly 390 miles on a single charge. EPA ratings are yet to be announced, but we presume the agency is going to come up with something around 300 miles of range. But the biggest benefit of the platform is the new battery technology. This 800-volt architecture ensures a DC fast charging speed of up to 270 kilowatts, which, in practice, means that you may expect to get from 10 to 80% of the battery in between 20 and 30 minutes. Then, there's a new technology in the battery design, separated into 2 400-volt parts. What this means is that in the case you use a 400-volt charger, the battery automatically separates into 2 400-volt parts and charges them simultaneously with a charging speed of 125 kilowatts, which should speed up the charging process a bit. The all-new 2024 Audi Q6 e-tron was introduced a few weeks ago, and from what we know so far, the North American debut is planned for the fall. As for the price, Base models are expected to go around $66,000 for the SUV and $69,000 for the Sportback model. What do you think of the 2024 Audi Q6 e-tron? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.